Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly live immigration attorney chat here at Immigration for Couples. I'm attorney Megan Pastrana. I'm happy to be with all of you here today. And I see we have some of you joining us live already, so that's awesome. Go ahead and come on in, everyone. I am streaming this live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. So throw your questions in the comments and I'll go through them in the order I receive them. If this is your first time joining us for a live welcome, we're really happy to have you with us. Here at Immigration for Couples, our firm is dedicated exclusively to helping couples across the nation and across the world in navigating the U.S. immigration process. We have a free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com, and Ria will throw that link in the comments as well for all of you too. All right. I always like to start out and ask everyone, where are you at in the world? Where are you at in your immigration journey? So you can just let me know that you're just at the very beginning, you're just starting out, you're in the middle of your journey. And sometimes we have individuals who have already finished and they just come here to be part of the community and support others. So let me know, where are you at in the world? Where are you at in your immigration journey? And also, how are you doing? All right. And I see we have more people joining us live. Welcome. It's great to have you here with us. So our first question up here, I see that we have, so you said you have recent interviewees for the spouse visa and Bangkok, and that the embassy has requested proof of health insurance. And will a letter from an employer satisfy this requirement? Sometimes a letter can work. And this is something that we work with all of our clients on, making sure they have some kind of health insurance that will be available to them. Not the embassy doesn't always ask. It really depends on the medical exam, medical history, health issues, things like that might exist. There are, some instances where they will definitely want to see that health insurance is secured or that you have access to it so you can continue that treatment once you arrive in the US. So sometimes a letter from an employer is enough. Sometimes the embassy wants an actual active plan. So you have to, and I'm not sure if you've gone to the interview, if you're just being proactive, but you want to follow the embassy's lead on exactly what they're requesting. Sometimes that proof of having access upon arrival is enough. Sometimes you actually have to have a health insurance policy in place and show that proof to immigration. So great question. All right, Monique, great to see you. Great to have you here with us. You're in Raleigh, and I know you had said that you were on our last live, so it's great to see you back. You submitted your I-130 in June of last year, and you're doing well. I'm really happy to hear it. So that's awesome. You have a pretty good weight behind you, and so that clock is ticking in your favor. You have that application filed. So fantastic, and good morning. All right. So all right. So, Pawinder, you said that you're on the 2nd of February, your fiance submitted all the documents to the lawyer. You're doing the fiance visa. I'm not sure if I follow your question. You're wanting to know, I don't know if you had another part to it. So how will your lawyer prepare the application? Yeah, I'm not really clear on what your question is. What I can answer generally about what the fiance visa process, maybe if I go over that would be helpful for you and the others who are here with us live today. So the fiance visa process is available to couples who are engaged. So you can't be married, just like it sounds. It's a fiance visa, that you're engaged and you have the intention and plan to marry. The petitioner has to be a U.S. citizen, so lawful permanent residents are not able to file a fiance visa for their fiance. You have to have met in person in the past 2 years before filing the application. You have to prove you're legally free to marry and that you are eligible and that you have a real relationship based on love. You're having to prove all of these things in the very first step of the process called a petition. So that's what you're talking about, that I-129F. It's a petition. That's one part of that application. You file that part of the application with there's other forms that also have to be filed, especially if you have an attorney. There's an attorney appearance, and then you file a very large packet with all of that proof, proving that you're legally free to marry, that you have intentions to marry, that you have a real relationship, you've met in person. And that's filed as one big application to immigration. That has to be mailed. There's not an online filing right now. So that is a really kind of a quick overview of what that fiance visa process looks like. And we do have a lot of free resources on our website, immigrationforcouples.com, about the fiance visa if you'd like to learn more. Ria had already thrown that link in. You'll see it says visit our free resource center here, and you'll be able to check out those resources. All right. Maria, it's so lovely to see you. Always makes me so happy. I like seeing your photo together. It's nice to have your positive energy here. So good morning to you. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Enjoying my day. And yeah, I hope everybody else is doing well too. I'm so glad you're able to be with us. And I did realize that I wanted to mention here in February, we are doing a special for Valentine's Day that anyone who wants to book a consultation, we're offering a $50 off coupon. So Ria, if you could throw that code, the Love Wins 50 is the discount code. And so Ria will put my scheduling link in there and then that code. And so if you are in a place in your immigration journey where you're just starting out, or maybe you're even in the middle of your journey and you're feeling lost and confused and nervous and needing guidance and help, book a consultation. I'm happy to speak with you in private and help give you clarity and peace of mind, and look at us, working together and helping you to be your guide. So Ria's throwing that in there. It's Love Wins 50. Thought that was very appropriate for Valentine's Day. All right. So let's see who's next. So good morning to you as well. Texas in the United Kingdom, you're back again to learn. I love it. This is the right place to be. 3 months since submitting your I-130 for the spouse visa. It's tough being apart through the winter and having to wait in silence for a response. Yes, the winter is definitely a difficult time to be waiting with the cold and the darkness and being apart. But it's good that you have, let's look at the bright side. You have your petition filed, you're 3 months in, you're one day closer every day. I'm glad you're in this community, so you're not alone. You will be able to get to the finish line. And I'm glad you're back here, to learn and be with all of us in community. All right. Oh, and Maria, you said your my fiance is watching in Alaska and you're watching here in Canada. That's awesome. Yay. And Ginger's here. Good morning to you as well. And you're watching in the UK. Great to have you here with us. All right, Damien. Looks like you have a question too. You're very welcome. You finally received your work permit after 10 months. Aw, you said without my help, you couldn't have done it. Well, I'm really excited for you. Congratulations. That's so awesome. Now it's saying that your green card will be processed in 97 days. So you're praying for approval. Thanks again. You are so very welcome. We are celebrating you on getting that work permit. That's a huge milestone. I know that'll help you, to really live life more freely. So that's exciting. Thank you so much for sharing that update. That's really important for everyone in the community to see that the light is at the end of the tunnel. And you're very welcome too. Hopefully, Damien's celebration here will help inspire you. All right. What other questions do we have here today? If I don't have any questions, I can talk about immigration. I'll talk about the different paths that are available to couples. We can walk through that. If we don't have specific questions, that's totally fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and talk. Then I'm going to tell you about the different options that are available to couples, because I know we have a lot of people here. Ginger, I know you're in the middle of your journey. You have your petition approved, if I recall correctly. Both you and Maria do, and you've been keeping us updated on where you're at. And so I know a lot of you have applications filed, but it's helpful to talk about, for those who are just starting out, what are the options that are available to couples at the very beginning. And I'd love to hear from those who are here today. Maria, Ginger, everybody, Monique, everybody who's here, and the Mayor 111. Yeah, I know you said you filed an I-130 petition. Let me know, what was it that made you pick the path that you picked? All right. I think that would be really helpful. If you're willing to share that, that would be helpful for other couples to kind of, see maybe your thought process or why you picked the path. All right. So there's 4 different paths to a green card through marriage or a relationship. Couples are not eligible for all 4 paths. So don't worry, you're not having to pick between 4 options. There's just 4 different paths that are available. The first one is called a spouse visa, and that's for couples who are married and that your partner, your spouse, is living abroad. And that is to bring your spouse to the United States. And the spouse visa at the approval of the spouse visa, that's really your green card, your permanent resident status to live in the US. So that's one path. Another path is the fiance visa. And so we've had a couple people here in our community today talking about having that fiance visa filed, like Maria. And the fiance visa is available to couples who are engaged. Like I had said earlier, it's for couples who are engaged, not yet married. The petitioner has to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be legally free to marry. So that means you aren't currently married to someone else. Even if you're going through a divorce process, you have to wait for the divorce to be finalized. You have to be legally free to marry. You have to have met in the past 2 years before filing that application, and you have to prove that you have a real relationship, a bona fide relationship. So the fiance visa is option 2, or is a possible path rather. Like I said, couples don't get to pick between all of those paths. And then there's adjustment of status. That's one of the other paths. And that's a path that happens here in the United States where the couple is already together. So typically what happens is someone's here, right, on a student visa, and they meet someone at university, they fall in love, they get married, and then you adjust your status from a student visa to a green card. Sometimes it can be a tourist visa as well, but that process happens here in the US. Not everybody is eligible for adjustment of status. A lot of people want to do that path because you're able to be together, but it has pretty strict requirements about who's eligible. And then another path, one that my office does quite a bit for couples. It's a very unique one. Not all couples are eligible. It's one of those paths that has a lot of more strict, nuanced requirements. It's called a direct consular file. And this is for when couples are both living abroad together and they meet certain requirements, that they have a job, for example, the US citizen has a job and then they're being relocated back to the US, but they've already have established a life abroad, or there's medical reasons. There's usually some kind of urgent underlying reason that allows us to put them on this, what's called direct consular file path. We've helped couples who are eligible for that successfully obtain their green card in 4 months, sometimes less. So it's a great option. We screen all of our couples and decide, what path is going to be the best. So yes, and I had asked in the community, though usually couples are having to pick between the spouse visa and the fiance visa. That's usually the path. Those are usually the two paths that couples find themselves feeling overwhelmed. And so I had asked in the community, Maria and some of the others, why did you pick the path that you picked? Or if you're willing to share so the rest of the community can hear kind of your thought process. So Maria, I love this. You said you picked the fiance visa to be together sooner. You're both legally free to marry each other. That's right. And you met each other many times in the past 2 weeks. And I know you mean 2 years. So yes. And I know you had said on one of our recent lives that you were both together. So yes. The K1 is what you picked that because you wanted to be together sooner. A lot of couples pick it for that reason. Yes, I love it. Thank you for sharing, Ginger. You picked the fiance visa so you could be together faster. 100%. For most fiance visa cases, on average, it takes about 14 months right now. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. And I know you're thinking that's a long time, but in immigration world, that's much faster than other options like the spouse visa. The spouse visa tends to take about 2 years right now, give or take. So a lot of couples will pick this path. So if you're not yet married, if you're looking at the different options that are available to you, these are some of the things to consider. Yeah, and this is perfect that we were talking about that because this answers your question. What are spouse visas looking like in terms of wait time and the fiance visa? So yeah, just like I said, and like Maria and Ginger were saying, they picked the fiance visa for that ability to be together faster. So yeah, the fiance visa, about 14 months, give or take, and about 2 years for the spouse visa. Of course, these are estimates, and it's going to largely depend on interview wait times for your country. And be aware too, if you're just starting out on your immigration journey, there were 400 policy changes in immigration in 2025. Not all of those impact couple-based immigration, but there are some that do. The travel bans, there's pauses, things like that. It doesn't mean you can't file, but it does mean you need to be more strategic in picking between the spouse and fiance visa, because depending on country, there'll be couples that I'll meet with that I'll say 100% you should do the fiance visa, not just for the speed, but because of certain proclamations and impacts on your country of origin. So that's what it's really looking like for wait times. Yes, Maria, I knew what you meant the past 2 years. But oh, and 2 weeks ago you were together. Oh, I know, I'm sure you do miss him a lot. I know I remember going through the process with my husband, and I know you get so excited, you spend that time together, it feels like it flies by, but soon enough you'll be together, long term in the US. So, but yes, thank you for sharing. And then, awesome. We have someone else who's sharing why you and your spouse chose the CR1 because there will be less restrictions when she finally arrives. With the current 75 country pause, however, the fiance visa would have been better. Yeah, and hindsight's 2020, and I know that's really heartbreaking for couples who are going down the spouse visa path that are impacted by the pause, and then the fiance visas. For the first time with pauses and travel bans, fiance visas have been excluded. It typically, historically, has been the other way around, um, and that doesn't mean you can't file. It doesn't mean your case won't be reviewed. The pause, we are waiting for further guidance, but it won't last forever. I never mean to minimize the impact that those pauses and travel bans are having. They're extremely inhumane and heartbreaking. But you are right about your reasoning for picking the CR1 visa. The spouse visa is a great option for couples who want to be able to enter the US and then have no additional steps. So that's really the biggest trade-offs. The fiance visa, you'll be together faster, but the spouse visa, couples will often choose that when the immigrant beneficiary wants to be able to come to the U.S. and start working right away or travel internationally right away and not have any additional steps. So there's benefits to both. And so thank you for sharing why you picked that path. All right. Um, Okay, so Patricia, thanks for being back again. I know you've had questions about the pause and the travel bans, and good morning to you as well. So your husband's in Nigeria, and you were wondering if you would be automatically if we would be automatically be available to get the IR1 once the ban is lifted. So, um, I want to make sure I'm understanding and answering the question that you're asking. So before, I know you were asking, can we still file? My husband's from Nigeria. There's the USCIS pause and a travel ban. Is it worth filing? And I made a whole video on that. And actually, Ria, would you throw that in the comments for everyone? That most recent video I made about the travel bans and pauses. I explain them in a lot of detail to help you understand which phases are impacted, and also talk about why it's still worth filing. So, like we had talked about last week, Patricia, and like I said in that video, it's still 100% worth filing your application. You will, you'll be able to file it. They will still give you a receipt. You'll still be in the queue. And then when the travel bans and the pauses are lifted, they'll be able to resume review of your application. Also, there is litigation that's ongoing right now. The litigation suing the government for these pauses, these travel bans, where individuals have complied with the law. You've done everything you're supposed to. You complete the application, you pay the fees, and so there's litigation right now to sue the government for these bans. And so we will likely see developments. It's an ever evolving process, and when they are lifted, then yes, your application would resume. It would be reviewed by an immigration officer. So definitely worth filing. And yes, once they're lifted, then the adjudication or the review of your case would continue. All right. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone here. I think I skipped down when I was getting comments from all of you about the path that you picked. Okay. So Leon, let's see. What is your question? Is it okay to obtain a document proactively before the consular officer formally requests it? So, is it okay? I think what you're asking is, are you able to obtain documents they think that they might request and have them to be proactive? And the answer is, yes. What we do with our clients all of the time. There is a standard list of the required documentation that you're meant to bring to your interview. There's some unique documents depending on your case history, depending on your name history. Maybe you changed your name. So there's documents that will be unique to your own personal immigration history. And then we work with clients too to identify what are things that the officer might request that aren't on the required list, so we can avoid any kind of delays, because immigration officers have that discretion to ask for things that are outside of the list. So if there's something you think that might be helpful for your case, our motto here at Immigration for Couples, what we do for our clients is take it and not need it rather than need it and not have it, right? So yes, being proactive, having things in advance is always a good idea. Okay, so you want to know, and it's great to have you here with us. Said you want to know why is it taking so long to get an approval? You must have had your marriage-based interview and you still haven't received word. It's really common to go to an interview, whether it's a spouse visa interview or if you had an adjustment of status interview here in the U.S. That post interview, the officer might say, you know what, I need to review your case file in detail. I can't make a decision today. That is possible to happen for the marriage adjustment of status interviews that happen in the US, that happens quite frequently because oftentimes the officers won't get your file until like the morning of the interview, sometimes the day before, and they have a lot of interviews and they haven't had time to go through and really review and complete their checklist. And if I've been in immigration officers' offices all over the country, I've been to thousands of interviews. They often in their offices have stacks of files sitting everywhere. They have a pretty heavy caseload, and so they'll do an interview. They'll do some of their checklist. They'll put it aside and they'll put it in their queue of cases to be reviewed, and then they conduct the rest of their interviews that day. So, they with their caseload and then having to review your file and make a decision, it can take time post interview. So it is common to wait a month. Sometimes it can take several months before you'll receive a decision. It really just depends on your case and the officer that you had for your interview. Okay, so Monique, you said one of and this I know you were making this comment based on why when I asked, why did some individuals, why did you pick a spouse visa or why did you pick the fiance visa to share with the others in the community who are maybe struggling to make that decision? And so you, I know, had said earlier you had your petition filed and you picked the spouse visa for the ability to work immediately and then travel internationally. Yes, and that's a really big reason why couples choose that spouse visa. Okay, so yeah, greetings to you as well. Great to have you here. You're from Saudi Arabia. You have a question. Was the Trump administration sued in federal court for the 75 countries immigration visa pause? Yes, there is pending litigation right now. There are lawsuits that are being filed in a collective group. It's not a class action. It's individuals that are filing. But yes, there is pending litigation right now for both the 39 country USCIS pause, the 39 country travel ban, and the 75 country visa pause. There is pending litigation at present. All right. Yes. And Mayor, you were saying that you did the spouse visa to be able to work. You travel all over the world and you couldn't be locked into staying in the US with a fiance visa. Yep. It's a really big reason that couples will pick the spouse visa is you enter the US on that spouse visa. They put the stamp in your passport. It's called an I-551 stamp. That in that moment you are a permanent resident and then you could travel internationally the next day. So that's why a lot of couples pick that spouse visa is just that freedom to be able to travel immediately and the ability to work. And then on the flip side, like Maria and Ginger shared, they picked the fiance visa because they just really, really want to be together as soon as possible. And that was their priority. And so they picked that. So there's not a right or wrong answer. It's just really what is most in alignment with your goals. So thank you very much for sharing that with the community. All right. So greetings to you as well. You're in New York City. Taking into consideration the 75 country immigrant visa pause, what's the best option for my fiance and I who live in Colombia? Are K1s still being processed? Yes, we have confirmation now. There's nothing on the Department of State website that says this, but we represent clients all over the world, Colombia included, Brazil, everywhere. We have fiance visa cases and processing from those 75 countries. And we have received confirmation directly from embassies saying that at present, the fiance visas are excluded. So that's a really great update. And so there are some individuals who are choosing to go through the fiance visa process for that reason. Do understand that the very first step in the process, which is a petition, if you are from Colombia, that first filing is not impacted by the pause. So even if you pick the spouse visa, it's not wrong. It's still those are still being processed. It's the interview phase that's impacted. And by the time that that petition makes its way through and it gets to the interview phase, by then, hopefully, the pause would be lifted. So the good thing is, though, yes, the fiance visas are being processed. And also check out the video that I had Ria throw in the comments. You'll see that in there. I talk about the travel bans, the pauses, the impact, so you can understand with in more granular detail the impact and picking a path. All right. So let's see. Aw. Yes, that's so you're very right, Maria. And you hope that everyone's able to process their immigration papers in a timely manner. Everyone in this community is in my daily prayers, including Megan and her team. It's tough to be away from your spouse or your fiance. Oh, well, thank you so much, Maria. That's such a lovely sentiment. And likewise, all of you in the community, all of our clients, you're always in my thoughts, prayers, sending you positive vibes, all the good things. So that's very lovely, Maria. All right. It looks like Ria let me know that we have an Instagram question. Hello from Lebanon, spouse of a permanent resident. You submitted your I-130 in February of 2024. How long will it take to get the approval and for the next steps to happen in your case? You're from one of the pause countries. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. I'm really happy to have you here with us. This is a great question. So if your spouse is a permanent resident and petitions for you, it's important to understand that the wait time is going to be different than a U.S. citizen petitioning for their spouse. The reason being is that a United States citizen petitioning for their spouse is something called, it's considered an immediate relative. It's something called an immediate relative. And a permanent resident petitioning for their spouse is a non-immediate relative. So what's the difference? The immediate relatives are not subject to what's called an annual visa allotment. There's a certain amount of visas that are available every year that the government designates every year, and those are shared among the non-immediate. I was going to say non-immigrant, non-immediate relative categories, which is the lawful permanent resident. So, in addition to waiting for the petition in addition to waiting for USCIS to review the petition, you also have to wait for a visa to become available. So the wait time is much longer. The wait time fluctuates for the permanent residents petitioning their spouses. On average, it's about 2 years just for which the USCIS wait times are creeping up to that as well. At least 2 years for the petition to be reviewed. So you're getting close. You're getting close to that 2-year mark. You can always check your receipt notice. There's a service center in the bottom left, and you can check USCIS processing times to see what the processing times are currently for a lawful permanent resident petitioning their spouse. I have additional details on our website as well that you can check. From there, with the pauses and with the pauses being present and in place right now, we do have guidance from the Department of State that says the interviews are still occurring. They just are not able to make a decision. So, yes. So just check the USCIS processing times. On average, though, it's at least 2 years. And then from there, you're having to complete the National Visa Center process and wait for that interview. All right. Okay, make sure I didn't. Okay, I think I got those questions. I have questions coming in from 4 places. I wanted to grab a drink. I've been talking a lot this morning, meeting with clients, and now talking here. My voice is getting tired. Let's see. Okay. How long does it take to get your I-797 notice in the mail? You received your phone notification. That's awesome. That's good. That means they have your application. Usually about a month-ish. Like it takes about a month, sometimes a few weeks. But if you've gotten the phone notification, it should be following soon. So that's great that you have your application filed. Congratulations. All right. Oh, you're very welcome. All right. I'm glad that that was helpful. Yeah, this is a big question. Let me see. I just saw it. Somebody was asking. Okay, so Anna, you're asking about what you're supposed to do or say if you have contact with ICE, about showing documents, and that you've watched a lot of videos saying you're not obligated to show documents or answer questions. So context matters when where are you having contact with ICE agents, right? And yeah, the situation, the context matters. But you are right. If you have contact with ICE agents, if they're asking you questions about your status, about your documents, you have a right to remain silent. You do not have to answer those questions. You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an immigration attorney. You have a right to, if you are being detained, you have a right to an immigration attorney and a right to a phone call. So you are 100% right. You do not have to show them your documents. And actually, this reminds me, we have something on our website. I'm going to look to Ria, and maybe you can help me at the same time. We put something on our website about knowing your rights, and we have a handy card that the American Immigration Lawyers Association provided that you can print out and carry with you, and it has your rights on it. So if you are in that situation and let me see. I know it's on here. If I can't find it right in this moment, then I will Ria and I will make sure it gets reposted. It would have been last year, Ria. It was last year that I did it. We have so many resources on our website that we'll find it and we'll put it in the link because it was, oh, I know where it's at. You got me going down a rabbit hole. You'll get to see here. Let's see. I want to make sure that you get it. It's on our YouTube channel. And so that's a good reminder too, that if any of you are not, depending on where you're watching, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, our Facebook, if you're not subscribed to following, be sure to do so because we do post videos on a very regular basis to keep you updated. And we provide resources like that. So be sure, like, subscribe, follow, do all of those things. So that way you will get the updates. Did you find it, Ria? If I thought that I had it. Like I said, we have so many resources here. And here we go. I found it. Yay. Okay. And let's see. And the link is in there. Yes. Here we go. Here is this video. And then the link should also be in there as well to the card that you can carry. If not, like I said, we'll make sure that after today's live that we post that because you're right. That's such an important question. There you go. Okay, so there's the video. I know there's cards too that I want to make sure you all have. That should be on there. And if I don't see that link, but I'll like I said, we'll post it in the comments post show. I don't want you all have to watch me search for that. So yeah, Maria, I understand. You're scared you'll be in trouble if you don't provide information. You sincerely don't know how to manage the situation. And I can't remember the details that you've shared in prior lives about your status, but I mean, if an individual is a green card holder or a US citizen, while you have a right to remain silent, you can say that, that you're a green card holder. I'm a US citizen. You can identify yourself and tell them your status. Legally, though, you have a right to remain silent. So that there's the link to that video. We'll get you those cards too, as well. I know it's very unprecedented and very uncertain times with everything that's happening with ICE right now. I completely understand. I definitely understand why you're concerned. And so there's that link. Check out that video. We'll find those cards and we'll post the link to that as well. And be sure, like I said, like and subscribe, and we keep you all updated. And with you asking that question and being so concerned, that really prompts me to look at making another even more detailed video and making sure those cards are circulated so everyone knows their rights and has that. You're very welcome, Anna. We'll find those and we'll throw it in the comments for you. I believe we have it on. I know we have it on our website too. There's just so many resources on there. I don't want you to have to watch me dig for it. We'll get it to you. Okay. Oh, Ria said she found it. So we both did like at the same time. So you have it twice. There you go. Sid, you're very welcome. I'm glad that was helpful. Yeah, and you watched a video, a couple started their fiancé visa and then was denied after waiting over a year. Yeah, that was very heartbreaking. There's a lot of those situations that happened last year with the travel ban, and then ended up getting married overseas and applied again under the spouse visa application. What are your thoughts on that situation? That was, that was a very difficult situation for them to be in, of course, and they're not alone. That happened to quite a few couples who went through the fiancé visa process, and then there was a travel ban that went into place last year, and K-1 visas were not excluded. Now they're excluded from the pause. But yeah, for those who were denied, if they got denied because of that travel ban, then looking at getting married and refiling often was the only option for those couples. So it's going to be really case and fact specific. I had conversations with couples who are in that situation, and we talked about different options to postpone that fiance visa interview so they didn't accelerate the denial. There's a lot of different options, and there's not a one size fits all. But yeah, were couples that had to go that route, unfortunately. Okay. I think Okay, so once your husband receives the spouse visa, is he able to travel visa free to all the places that you have a visa free entry to? So when you receive a spouse visa, that's your permanent resident status or your green card. And each country, of course, has their own requirements about what is required based on your status. And so green card holders in some situations do need a visa. So it's something that you have to look at because it's a distinction between US citizen and a lawful permanent resident. It's not going to be, the same necessarily for both of you. It really depends on where you're traveling. Um Okay, I realized I got lost in trying to find that resource. I realized it's already 11:40 or 11:37, and I do need to jet to my next appointment. It's been great to be with all of you here today. I will be back here next week, Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So bring your questions, and we'll go through the questions I wasn't able to get through here today. It was great to see all of you. Hang in there. I know it's been a bumpy road. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow. Like I said, we're constantly putting out updated videos and resources for all of you. Check out our free resource center. And again, if you'd like to have a private consultation with me, I'd be more than happy to meet with you and give you clarity, advice, and guidance. We are running that special right now for $50 off your consultation. Love wins 50. Rio will throw those links in there one final time. You're very welcome, Maria. So lovely to see you. Makes me very happy. Patricia, so good to see you too. All right. Yes. And Maria sends a blessed week to everyone. Thank you. Ginger, so great to see you. Take care, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Hang in there. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.